All right, all right, all right, all right. Hello. We're here. We're here, ready to rock. Hello, my friend. How are you?
Hello, man. I'm doing good. TGIF.
That's right. Ooh, there's a little restaurant we haven't been to in a minute.
Oh, bro.
Are they still in
No,
business?
I think it still exists other places, but we don't have one here anymore.
Yeah, okay.
I used to love to go. They used to have a deal when we were in college. I don't remember what it was exactly, but it was like $4 appetizers and
Yeah.
balling on a budget when you're in college. You could go get me and Brian used to go and just split like four things and it would be like absolute feast for $8 each.
I don't know if the price point's still the same, but Theo's had $5 appetizers for forever.
Oh wow. And they're like fancy.
Yeah, and so
I
they're
don't
actually
really ever go there.
yeah, that's really good food. But yeah, you
Yeah.
can go. I think it's still $5, but maybe not with the price of everything these days. But yeah, I remember we would go. Yeah, it's a happy hour thing, so you go in the late afternoon.
Yeah.
But you have to be okay with getting like duck confit quesadillas, instead of just like, what have you. But it's good food
Gotta
at
have the
least.
refined palate.
Yeah, but $5. So
Yeah. Great deal
yeah.
these
So
days.
TGI Fridays makes me think of like those restaurants that you don't really go to for like a deeply amazing dining experience, but it's just like, yeah, the food's kind of tasty. So it's like watching
Yeah.
the rundown. You don't expect a lot, but you enjoyed the time you were there.
The rundown is amazing. Okay.
For what it
So
is,
I
it
get what you're
is.
saying. I get what you're saying, but
Yeah.
I feel like you're throwing a little bit of shade.
No, I'm just calling things as they are.
Yeah.
Other
I also
restaurants.
feel like or go ahead.
I was just say other restaurants like that. I would put like Chili's in the same
Yeah.
conversation.
Yep. Here's what I'll say, and this might be just like a product of getting older and you know, rose-colored glasses on the past, but I also feel like those types of restaurants just were better like 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. I mean,
I feel like they've just really gone downhill.
yeah, I mean, like some of those, yeah, are real bad. Like Applebee's,
Mhm.
I haven't been to an Applebee's in like 10 years because it's disgustingly bad.
Yeah.
I feel like even like not as it is a chain, it is a national chain, but I feel like it was like a slight cut above. I would put Outback Steakhouse, and I
Mm.
feel like that has also gone down a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'll still go slam down at Outback, but I agree that it just feels like they've all those big chains have just kind of and I mean, it makes sense, right? Just like continue to cut costs and try to like boost profits. They just, are losing quality, but I don't know, maybe
Did
maybe
you
it's my
see the
conspiracy theory.
the article? I think it was like from the New York Times or actually maybe it was Forbes. I can't remember. But on Chili's replacing their chefs with they were like, we're investing in this brand new like burger automated AI driven, cooking thing. And it's just like the McDonald's burger presses. Did you see
Yeah.
this article?
I think I saw did you make a post about it?
Yeah, I did.
I think I saw that.
Yeah, they were like, we're investing $100 million to outfit all of our Chili's restaurants with these, incredibly, these new. And for our listeners, it's what you see if you peek behind the counter at McDonald's, like where they push a button. Which, dude, McDonald's has it all figured out from like the automation standpoint. Like you could press a button on like the
Yeah.
drink machine and it like fills it as it should and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, they press a button and like they look kind of like George Foreman grills. They come down, they press on the burger for however many seconds, and they lift up. Well, Chili's is getting these all at all their locations, and I don't know. It was kind of an interesting thing. I was like, man, if that's not a sign of like quality going downhill, I don't know what else would be. But
Yeah. 100%. And Jake mentioned that he used to work for a guy who reinvented the Applebee's menu. It's all frozen. I heard that as well. I used to work in a restaurant, and one of my managers previously worked at Applebee's, and he said everything is microwaved.
yeah,
I heard that about Olive Garden as well.
and same conversation with that guy you just mentioned. I remember asking him like how bad was the food, and we're talking about the same guy for our listeners who had been a
Yeah.
manager at Applebee's, and he was like, it's worse. Like it's bad. It's pretty disgusting. So, which shout out to Chewy's. Me and Will both had our stint working at Chewy's. I still eat there today. Still love the food. Food is all fresh, all made in house. So, kind of a nice. That's nice when restaurants are like that. So
yeah. So if you guys have one of those near you, you can rest pretty assured that it's that they're one of the restaurants that's dotting their I or whatever the phrase is. Yeah, dotting their I's, crossing their T's. In terms of cleanliness and freshness. But yeah.
That reminds me of this joke I made one time where we talked about like it was like a customer service conversation of like like being nice. It was when I was working at summer camp, and like parents would come in, and so it'd be like, hey, yeah, let's go shake hands and kiss babies. And I made a joke. I was like, don't get it backwards. And the guy was like, yeah, okay, man.
Like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah. I was like, I can't help being who I am. So anyway, McGurb says Chewy's is amazing. The only one here in Illinois shut down, though. That's too bad. Whenever I worked there, which was like a decade ago, their whole strategy was like the Southeast and like all the way up to like, I guess like Maryland, like the eastern side of the US.
Yeah.
And like on their map, like across like the Midwest, it was basically empty. So
I wonder how prolific they are these days.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. So, well, we put out our video on the live show. So that was a good discussion. There's been some good chatter about that. What else is top of mind for our stream today?
Yeah, I don't know. It feels like we've been in there was no Critical Role. So like that's like a big void of nothing really to talk about. And I was going to say there was no Worlds Beyond, but there was. It's just a 2-week break.
Right.
Makes me feel like it's been a while. So, I mean, as far as those things are concerned, I don't really have too much to say. Other than that, I'm extremely stoked for Downfall, but we've talked about that a lot already. But yeah, really looking forward to that.
We do have GDQ starting Sunday.
Yes,
which no matter it feels like no matter how bad things are, it's like a nice little, when it's GD. And the best part about GDQ is when my friend Will reminds me that it's coming up. That's like the best feeling in the world when you're like, hey, do you know GDQ's next week? And I'm like, what?
Yes.
So,
because I think it was Glim, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. And also, I'm not to get into this every single time.
That's all right.
But I know it's Glimmy, but I just don't think I'm going to be able to switch.
Okay, all right.
This is SGDQ. So last AGDQ, I think he let me know that he was like, hey, GDQ's tomorrow, and I was like, what? Like it snuck up on me that much.
Yeah. Wow. It's a good
but
feeling.
Yeah, always the best feeling. So I'm very excited for that.
Yeah, it makes me sad because I always try to get a shirt. I'm probably going to get a shirt this time. And I'm also going to miss the ending few days because of this. I'm going to a wedding. I mentioned it in Colorado. Apparently there's not like much cell service or like internet service. So
yeah. Did you see that comment on our video?
No.
It was somebody that was commenting about you have to go to an out of town wedding for 4 days. And it was just really funny. He was just like, I'm so sorry.
No, it's a friend of mine. I'm excited to be there. But yeah, it is too bad that it lines up with GDQ and 4th of July and all that stuff. So, do you have any 4th of July plans, by the way?
I mean, not like plans, like we're doing something. We'll probably do something on that day, but like nothing planned. Like it won't be anything big. Like we might go, cook out or something somewhere.
Yeah. Do we have a birthday party tonight, or is that tomorrow?
That's Sunday.
Oh, okay. I was way off. All of a sudden I was like, are we seeing each other tonight? Okay.
Yeah. No, I could be wrong, but I think that's Sunday.
We're both wrong. It's like tomorrow. He's like,
it was yesterday.
Thanks, guys. That's funny. Yeah, okay. So GDQ, we did get a question on one of our videos on favorite. It wasn't favorite format. It was like favorite game from a past GDQ. And my answer to that would be I love the randomizers. especially randomizers with like some of my favorites, like Metroid, Zelda. You know, the randomizer is just fun, just to see kind of what happens, and you know, it's a nice little spin on things.
Yeah, totally.
So, how about yourself?
It's hard. I mean, I love randomizers as well. I love relays when they do that, where with either within a singular game or if they're playing like multiple games, like all the like the NES Mario's or something like that. Those are always fun with multiple people. And this isn't a game per se, but like my favorite thing about GDQ, I think, is like the late night runs.
Yeah.
Where it's just you just kind of set the vibe,
Right.
and this is very, very generic and definitely not true across the board. But what I've come to find is a lot of like the late night runners are like the runners I usually like the most. Like with really good commentary, because I don't know, late night runs, they kind of get the shaft sometimes, because it's like, since it's 24/7, some of this stuff happens when like 90% of people are asleep. So I feel like those are the runs I can just kind of get more in tune with. But a lot of the times they do horror games, which just kind of sets the vibe for that as well. And then, actually, also the awful games done quick and silly games done quick, where they just play like the most obscure, like worst games possible. But
Goodbye,
it's really
Dino
fun to
High.
kind of like break them.
You know?
Yeah.
Goodbye, Dino High. They need to do that one year. But yeah, I like the scary block. It's definitely pretty fun. There's another one that made me think of. I'm trying to think of what it was, but it escapes me. But something else I was thinking of when you mentioned the relays, it triggered a memory of another thing I enjoy. This is a controversial take. So I don't like to see anybody squirm, or, you know, when the person's like, they're trying to do like the trick and they can't get it. And it doesn't just like they can't get it, it like snowballs to where you're kind of like, ooh. My controversial take, this is so bad. I kind of like it when the person gets mad and it gets just really awkward. I'm just like, I can't look away. I feel so locked in. Like you mentioned the relay, and it reminded me, I don't think it was this last year, but maybe the year before. It was a relay where, for our listeners, sometimes they'll do like a game where it's like split screen where everyone's playing against each other. And what'll happen is, when another layer of complexity is, not only is it 4 players, but it's like 4 teams. And so when like a player gets to a certain spot, they tag out with someone else on their team. That person sits down on the couch. So it's actually 16 people all playing together, if that makes sense. Well, this dude, I don't think he like even knew his teammates that well, but this dude like made a mistake and he just like got mad and like threw the controller down and then just like got up and like walked off. No. And the next guy was just like, I guess I'll swap in now. I feast on that stuff, dude. I'm just like, oh, this is so bad. But, you know, it's the team, man. You can't.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
So
yeah, there's 2 types of that. There's like the angry, and then there's like the cringe, where you're talking about, where it's like the person is just like getting desperate, like, I'm gonna hit it this next time.
Yeah, and I don't mind that part. I don't really mind so much. For me, I feel bad for the person, but definitely like the drama. I'm like, this is where it gets really interesting for GDQ. So, like I said, controversial take, but you know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's some pretty good compilations out there of those types of moments.
Yeah, there's one. There's one I think we've both seen, maybe from like years ago, where like the person on the couch like just like sat down or something and didn't know the runner well, but like kept making this was like way back when it was less produced. Yeah. And the person was like making comments, and then finally the person playing was like, "Can you stop?" And then he just like sat there quietly for the rest of the run. And it was just like, ooh, boy. So
yikes.
Anyway.
Yeah, I'm sure we're gonna get a few good moments like that next week.
I like the games too that are like long games, like they play like Final Fantasy or something, where like you can kind of tune in throughout the day, or like over like 4 or 5 runs. Yeah. Those are fun too. So,
yeah, agreed.
Well, let's check out our questions in the Discord. We got a few.
I might have to take a peek at the schedule.
Ooh.
Get Nancy.
I'm gonna break your one rule. Okay, here we go. Wait, this is the wrong channel. Okay, here we go. This is from Glimmy. Top 3 video game. This is a two-parter. Let's start with the first part. Top 3
Okay.
video game genres. With genres, are we talking like type of game, like MMO, ARPG, or are we talking like genre, like scary game,
like vibe?
yeah, or like noir, or you know?
Well, I think Glim's here, so he can let us know. But I was leaning the first one that you were saying.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, I don't know. Let us know. But MMO, I'll say, just for pure hours I've spent on World of Warcraft. I feel like I have to say that one.
Yep.
What would you call I guess platformer? Which
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
a lot of things fall into that bucket.
Man, there's been so many good games in that.
Yeah. And then like what would you call like I'm trying to think of a good example. Like I don't know. Like I guess RPG. I guess RPG is what I'm looking for.
Yeah, and I think that's Elitus's question. Does a single player with a good story and a significant campaign count as a genre? Because I'll do anything that fits that model. I think of like a traditional RPG probably fits that well, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to pick just 3 because I feel like I can think of so many good games across the genres. Like you mentioned, I wouldn't have said platformer, but then when you said it, it made me think of Hollow Knight. And I was like, dude, that's like such a great game. If I had to like boil it down to games that I would only play 3 games for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I would probably pick the genres of an MMO because I play WoW a lot. Probably an ARPG because I've put so many hours into Diablo and Path of Exile especially. And then I think I would have like an RPG, and hopefully I could fit like a Baldur's Gate in that, but even like a sort of like more like God of War style, or still want to play like Ghost of Tsushima, or hopefully like Elden Ring fits in that too. But just like the more like craftable, like they've built a single player experience that's really cool. So
I think those would slot under the RPG umbrella for sure. And then I like strategy games, but it's only like certain flavors.
Yeah.
Of strategy games.
I used to play Command and Conquer like all the time as a kid, but I don't think I've touched a strategy game like StarCraft or what have you. And I almost wonder, like, does that genre still do well? Because like Blizzard ended their development of StarCraft. I can't think of another strategy game. I think of Civilization's a really awesome game. For me, it's a little bit different than like a Command and Conquer or StarCraft, but maybe they're both the same type. I'm not sure.
I think there's different genres of strategy because like RTS is like you mentioned, but what I was thinking of was more like puzzle games.
Oh,
but I guess maybe puzzle would be the correct genre then instead of strategy. But like I don't think, did you play Inscription?
No.
I wouldn't know what to classify that game is, but it's like
never heard of it.
Oh, bro, you should put it to like don't look up anything about it.
Okay.
And you should play it because
it's
one of those games that's really serviced by going in blind.
Okay. Another game you told me to play that I never did, I think it was Doki Doki something. Oh, yeah. And you said to avoid spoilers on that too.
Doki Doki Literature Club. Those of you that know will know, and those of you that don't that look it up are going to be like, what the hell?
This is one of those things where like on your friends list, like your friend is playing and you're like, ooh, okay.
Ooh, yeah. We gotta have a talk.
Been online for 46 hours. Another game, by the way, that reminded me of Steam games that I haven't played. Have you played Subnautica?
No.
I've heard. I don't know anything about that game, but I've heard really good things.
Yeah. I actually just got it today. Not Subnautica, but Steam Summer Sale started. So I picked up a couple things.
Yep.
Outer Wilds. So I'm really, have you played that?
I own it, but I have not played it.
Like a lot of people say it's like the best. So
yeah, I don't know. I mean, as we talked about in our group chat though, like the $1 billion of games that people buy and don't play.
Yeah.
Have you heard
Yeah.
of this other new game, Chained Together? I think is what it's called.
Yeah, I've seen some like clips on social media of
Yeah.
people playing it.
Isn't it funny how like these games just go viral and like everyone and their friends are playing it?
Bro,
But
can you imagine like you remember Only Up, which was kind of the
yeah,
same thing?
yeah,
Like just think about how much money cuz like one person made that game and it's like
yeah.
not a very good like it's not a very well made game. Well, I'll put it that way. But like if you go viral like that where all the streamers are playing it, like that dude probably made buku
It's
cash.
such an interesting concept, like the social game. I feel like
Mhm.
what's the imposter one also?
Among Us.
Among Us also like just took
Yeah.
off. Helldivers, which is I think a way more developed and polished game outside of like these games, but also had like a massive like social element to it.
Until they
Um,
until Sony shot themselves in the foot.
yeah, well, that's you know,
Classic.
corporations are awesome, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Getting back to Eric though, he said his favorite three would be automation. Would automation be like an idle game, maybe? Or do you mean like Satisfactory? Did you ever play that?
I know I
Yeah.
didn't.
Okay.
I know what you're talking about though. Um
Because I have a
I know
friend.
he
Well,
sorry, go
I was
ahead.
gonna say with Satisfactory, I have a friend who has like a massive spreadsheet. Or am I thinking of Satisfactory, or am I thinking of a different?
Well, I think you're thinking of what I know Glenn plays because I think it's called Factorio,
Factorio. Yeah.
where
Sorry.
like you get the spreadsheets
Yeah.
going.
Yes. And that's the one that my buddy has
Mm.
like a redonkulous. I have a
Yeah.
spreadsheet for some of my stuff, and there was a moment my wife walked in and she was like, "What is this?" And I was like, "Oh, this is just like and she was like, "We can't have a conversation about the calendar, but you have this massive spreadsheet." I was like, "Yes."
You don't get it.
Yeah. Roguelikes are amazing. I love a good roguelike. I feel like that genre has really taken off in the last like 5 or 6 years, ever since Slay the
Yeah.
Spire came out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so and then the other part of that question that he asked was any genres that are underserved that you would like to see be more popular.
Mm. Hmm.
While you're thinking, I would love to see a good RTS game like have a nice spin to it, and just see like how people might revive it, because I did spend a lot of
Yeah.
time on those games back in the day. So
Yeah. That would be I was never like the best at RTSs. Like I never liked to like play against other people. I just liked the campaigns.
yeah.
Maybe it's the boomer APM, I don't know. But
Hey,
I don't okay,
you got your APM up playing the pirate deck in Battlegrounds. So
yeah, there you go.
that was always the worst feeling when you're like me just watching again, just relishing in people's discomfort. You're just like clicking through, and then like you just miss
Just
it by that
panicking.
much, and you're just like,
Yeah.
no.
What?
I'm just like popcorn meme. So
Okay, my answer, this genre definitely isn't underserved, but I wish slash hope for another MMO that kind of captures the same fire that
yeah,
OG WoW did, which I don't even know what that looks like anymore, but I feel like it's going to be really hard because I think for me personally, I'm not, my word isn't gospel on this, but I think what made original WoW so great was that it didn't have all of the modern day
mm-hmm.
like raid finder. And
Yeah,
what made me think of this is what Jake just said about WoW was a social game when it first came out.
yeah.
Like, I think those were the best aspects of it. So if somebody made like a new MMO, but like kind of didn't necessarily have all the modern bells and whistles on it in terms of making it really approachable.
Yeah. It's interesting because like today's gamer is so different in like how they
Yeah.
consume games. So I wonder how they make a game that applies to today, like in terms of like respecting your time, I think a little bit,
Yeah.
but then also has like that, for me, the original WoW, like the sense of exploration of like,
Yeah.
I can go there, like every new zone had like endless quests, like discovering new items, like, yeah, but to WoW's credit, so many studios have tried to replicate what they've done, and literally not one has, except for maybe FF14. I know Nate's played it. I haven't played it, but
Yeah, people love FF14, but I've never played it either.
I will say I had like a 30-day free pass on it or something, and I did a stream that was like, hey, I'm brand new to FF14, like, give me tips along the way. And I was just playing through the campaign. And I had a handful of people who jumped in who were like veterans who were like, hey, yeah, try it. Just like super nice. And so that left a really good impression on me compared to WoW's community, which being in WoW's community, there are some of the most heinous things.
Yeah.
Yeah. The fact that WoW has a social contract now when you log in should pretty much say it all. I feel like.
Does it?
It does. Yeah.
That's funny.
So anyway,
dude, the game that since WoW has most captured that sense of exploration and like that you were just describing, of like, oh, I can go there and like, oh, what's over here, and just kind of like feeling immersed, is Elden Ring. Like,
okay, yeah, I'm excited to try that.
Bro.
Did you get the DLC?
I haven't gotten it yet.
Okay,
but I'm definitely going to.
Yeah,
I just haven't had time to play it yet, so I haven't gotten it.
Yeah, I've heard. I've been trying to avoid spoilers, which this is a thing for me, as I avoid spoilers way past the point of like I'm still trying to avoid spoilers on Fight Club, which it's like.
Wait, have you never seen Fight Club?
I've never seen Fight Club.
What?
I just haven't seen it.
Do you know what happens?
I don't.
That's one of like the biggest like spoilers. I feel like the average person just knows. That's crazy.
I have like a
you should watch that like tonight because it's gonna get spoiled for you now.
I have like a universe. I have like a suspicion, but I'm not sure. But what I will say is, I think I've done pretty good with spoilers in general. The only spoiler that really ticked me off was my phone, and I was able to figure out how to turn this off. But when you open Google on my phone, it has like trending news or something. And there was a time, this is a Walking Dead spoiler from years ago, so just tune out for like the next 60 seconds. But I wasn't really following it that much. But one of the trending news was like Carl's death. It was like reactions to Carl's death, and I was like, what? Like, why? So other than freak deals like that, I feel like I've done okay with spoilers.
Yeah, that's interesting because you a lot of times seek spoilers.
I do sometimes. That's true. So
I'm curious in your brain, like where the line is for like, your need to find out versus you wanting to keep some stuff sacred.
I'm sure there's like a psychological reason for it, for sure, because you describe it well. Sometimes I'm just like, I better protect that. And other times, this 20-year plus movie, I better guard it with my life. So anyway, next question, or we're going to try to maybe move through these a little bit quicker. Jake asked, what's objectively the best dinosaur?
My favorite as a kid was the Stegosaurus.
So here's something interesting.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fact check myself before I say anything here. Okay, never mind. You're good. There's a dinosaur I would say for years was my favorite. I say as if I got asked the question a lot. I never did. But from a kid, I loved this dinosaur, and then I got hit with like this bombshell in like my mid-teens that dinosaur did not exist. That it was like a cross between other dinosaur or something. I thought it was a Stegosaurus, but it's not.
What was it? Or you don't remember?
I don't know. Is it a Brontosaurus? Let's see.
Those are the long neck ones, right?
Ooh, it is the Brontosaurus.
That's fake?
Yeah, never actually existed.
Then what am I thinking of? The long necks from Land Before Time. What are they called?
I think it's a Brontosaurus, right?
You tell me Littlefoot's not real?
Yeah. Sorry to be the one to do this, but because of Land Before Time, which, by the way, corporate Hollywood or Disney or whoever did this movie, you guys made too many. You guys got to learn to protect what you got, and move on to a new IP, because they made like 12 of these movies.
Yeah, they did.
But all that to say, yes, it's because I love the Land Before Time. I love the Brontosaurus, and that would have been my favorite dinosaur. So
I'm sorry.
that's
Sorry they
okay.
stripped that away from you.
If you were a grand demon, what would your thing be?
What do you mean by that?
Like, what are you going to be known for as
Okay.
a grand? I think for me, it'd probably be sarcasm.
Ooh.
It's kind of my go-to.
Like my I don't know. Probably being weird. I don't know. Like,
how do you answer this question without actually coming off as a weirdo?
Probably I don't know. Like just saying weird stuff in weird accents randomly. I guess.
Yeah. The grand demon.
Grand
of
demon
accents.
you wish would just go home.
Yeah.
Like,
hey, you're good, man. We
you've
got
overstayed your welcome.
Yeah. The worst feeling. We're like, I can stick around. Like, we're good, man. You know.
I cleared my schedule. Like it's fine. I'm good to stay. No.
There's a YouTube video I saw. I can't think of what it was. It was like a comedy channel with like this extremely awkward guy. And he like does accents and stuff. And he like comes up to like this couple having a baby. They're like, oh, thank God. And he like does this weird accent. And the husband's like, you know what? I think we're good, man. Like, I think we got it. And then our last question from the prize: if you could have Matt answer one question in private, but not answer it or prove he answered it for you until it becomes relevant in the campaign, what would you ask him?
Sorry, I kind of coughed in the middle. Was it just ask him a question, but in private?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Think for a second. If you already know, you can go ahead.
I was just reading Elitus's demon, encroaching on personal space demon. They're close talker. I would love to know his grand plan for like the future of Exandria and like C4, and like we talked a lot about like potential new system and stuff like that. Like I would really be curious, like the major like future foundational plans he has in mind.
Yeah, that would be cool. And we're probably about to get this, not in its entirety, but we'll have some light shed on it. I guess I would probably ask about like the true origin of the world, like what actually happened. Is the Luxon thing actually how it went down? Like, where did the gods come from? Like, just more of kind of like the ancient foundational history of the world.
Yeah. Good answer. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it today. Thank you guys for tuning in today. We'll have our Worlds Beyond chatter on Monday, I think. And I hope everyone has a great 4th of July as well for those who are celebrating it.
Yeah. And I don't know what the plan's gonna be, but as you guys know, I'll definitely be hitting up GDQ. So what we've done before is kind of used either the Discord or my Twitch chat, even when I'm not streaming, is just like a hangout for anybody else that's watching GDQ. So if that might be you, just keep an eye on the Discord. I'll let you know if anything like that happens. But yeah.
All right. See you guys.
Alrighty, y'all. Have a good weekend.
Bye.